Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Tech Chat. And we're here today with the team from Sony Media Solutions. I'm Lori H. Schwartz from StoryTech, and I'm going to help facilitate this conversation. We're going to be talking about the challenges and opportunities of our remote future with the great Sony team. And we're going to learn how they implemented and designed unique solutions to assist customers during this really challenging time where remote production has really become the hero. And Sony has been utilizing IP technology, their ELC automation solution, and master control in the cloud. So I want to bring on that great team. And we have John Studdard, who's the Vice President of Media Solutions. We have Deanne LeQuent, who's the Senior Business and Technology Manager. We have Jason Weintraub, who's the National Accounts Manager for Broadcast Media. And of course, Joe Walker, Senior Director of Technical Services for Crispin Corporation. So I want to first say to you guys, we hope everyone's doing great. It's been such a crazy, challenging time for so many companies. And I really feel like you guys have been the partner and the glue to so many of your partners right now. And I want to first ask you, John, that I've been doing some reading about a $100 million global relief fund that Sony has put out for COVID-19 relief. So can you tell us about that? Because when I hear about that, it just gives me that good chill, right? Tell us about that.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud of Sony. They stepped up very early on in the pandemic and set aside $100 million for frontline medical professionals, first responders, educators, and children, as well as people who are involved in the creative and entertainment industry. And with regard to the entertainment and creative industry, we have already made that money available to AES, Local 600, and the Sports Video Group Fund. And I have firsthand have seen that money go to good use. In fact, it was critical for a number of the individuals who received it. So thank you for asking. And like I said, it's a great thing that's being done right now.
Well, I think you guys are really serving as the backbone to many of your broadcast partners, and it's just really touching to hear that corporately you're putting your money where your mouth is. Maybe you can give us some examples about how COVID-19 has impacted Sony's media solution and how you're working with your customers, because it's one thing to have a great offering, but how do you roll it out during this time as well? So share with us what you guys are up to, because you have some great stories.
We do, at first it was a great challenge. How do we address this? Because we have a very complex and transformative solution. But as it turns out, because we were all sheltered in, including our customers, it gave us the opportunity to reach across with some of the video conferencing tools that are now available and have greatly improved. So in many ways, it has allowed us to get all of the attention of our customers and get our message across and listen to them and their challenges, and then even address them by adapting our solutions to their requirements. So in many ways, I think we got it in front of things with this.
I mean, you kind of had to. If you didn't, I don't think you'd be where you are now, which is an integral part of the story today. What has been the most common request that you're getting from customers? I'm sure you're starting to see some trends here, but what have you been able to solve?
It's funny. The ticket to every conversation right now is around remote production. If you can't control a device remotely, and what we mean by that these days is very often from your home, they don't want to continue the conversation. So it truly is remote production, remote production, remote production. Now that could be over the cloud, it could be over IP. We have solutions for both.
Well, let me jump over to Dion. Dion, I know that the pandemic has transformed the way broadcasters view their day-to-day operations, right, and their vision for future workflows. What are you guys doing to help this? Because I know workflow used to mean one thing, and now in the pandemic it means something else.
Mm-hmm. That's a great, yeah. So like, as John just mentioned, everybody's thinking about remote production. They're thinking about business continuity. How do they ensure that they can still get their productions on air if their production personnel are sitting at home in their living rooms or sitting in a control room in another facility? So we've really gotten behind that message. Sony was already leading the charge as it relates to IP based solutions. We have a full portfolio of cameras and production switchers and other solutions for management of those systems that really help push forward this concept of remote production or shared production of resources. With the pandemic and with even kind of speeding up the broadcaster's vision for what they want to deploy in their workflows, we've really transformed ourselves. One of the big things that we did last year was we partnered with Nevion, a worldwide leader in network solutions for media, and we now fully own Nevion. We just announced, I believe, last week, we have full acquisition of Nevion as a company. So we are really looking to amplify and enhance our portfolio by combining our solutions with Nevion solutions to create a platform, if you will, that broadcasters can use to build IP environments that are extensible, remote production environments that are fully flexible, allowing their personnel to really exist anywhere once they're connected to the network.
Oh, that's so cool. Now, I keep hearing a lot about distributed production. So, what's the difference between distributed production and remote production?
Great question. So, this remote production is a term that a lot of people in the industry are already familiar with. It's the concept of deploying a minimal amount of production resources or even production personnel on site. So, if you think about a broadcaster covering a football game, the idea is that you can now deploy cameras and audio in a smaller production truck and whatever personnel you need on site to get those signals transmitted back to master control at the broadcast facility. It could be, let's say it's in New York. Everything gets broadcast back to master control, and the production happens in master control. And that has a number of benefits. It allows the broadcaster to produce multiple events or multiple games in the same day. It allows them to have the same production resources, like their switcher or their production personnel, to work on multiple events in the same day, making that equipment better utilized. Distributed production is it's a combination of what we call remote production and shared production. And the idea is that you're now connecting multiple facilities together so that you can share the resources in each facility. And going back to my previous topic about, Nevion and how it augments our portfolio, we're really looking at creating an environment where to an operator, let's say a technical director or a replay operator, they don't know where the resources exist. The server could exist in a building that's 3 states over. The production switcher could be in another country. As long as you have the network connectivity and you have the right monitoring and management tools in place, like those from Sony and from Nevion combined, you're really able to treat that broad network as one singular network, whether it be a local area network or a wide area network. So now you can more efficiently use your products, and your production personnel can grab resources as needed on demand.
So, you have customers who are both using workflows for remote production as well as shared production, or maybe
Yeah, so
even.
we have
Go
great.
ahead.
Yeah, we have customers that are we have customers that are definitely using remote production. We have one particular customer. There are a university that's using one of our new solutions, the TX30, and it's a camera adapter that allows for SIMT 2110 directly at the camera head. So effectively now you're able to take signals directly from the camera, plug them right into your network, and those cameras are available anywhere on the campus. And that gave them the ability to take the camera head and move it from the football field to the soccer field to the tennis stadium to the basketball arena. And that allowed them to now move those signals into a single machine room with one point of master control. So instead of having to buy multiple cameras and multiple sets of equipment and building multiple control rooms or doing SIMT fiber patching or buying an expensive optical fiber routing system, They can literally use SMPTE 2110, pipe all the signals back to the same location, and one point of master control. Very efficient.
Well, I love that you can iterate on a number of different workflows that will map back to what the client's needs are. And I bet you're learning more and more each day, to provide those great solutions. I want to jump over now, talk more about that IP platform message that you guys have, because you're talking a lot about connecting all these dots out there. So Jason, you have a solution, ELC Remote. I want to know a little bit about that. Tell us about that, maybe help define it. And then how is it impacting the creative process of preparing and executing broadcasts? Because I know you guys are delivering on the technology, but this is about
Right.
storytelling, right? And we're dealing with
Right.
creatives. So how are you helping creatives execute? They're not always so tech savvy. I mean, they kind of have to be right now, but you guys are really providing that infrastructure to help them do what they need to do.
Absolutely, Lori. And so what we've done is we looked at it from a perspective of we have, a lot of broadcast partners that are using ELC to control their control room in a conventional method where, they're automating their control room. And when the situation hit and people needed to leave the facilities, we were faced with the issue that people needed to be able to produce their shows, but nobody wanted to lose efficiency. Nobody wanted to take away the creative process because despite the pandemic that's occurring, there are still a lot of news stories going on. There's elections, there's all types of things that are still happening. So we couldn't lose efficiency. We couldn't change the workflow. We just had to expand the way that we do it. And the way that Sony, handled this is essentially in one of a couple ways. One is, we had the plan in place, and we have customers that are actually controlling TV stations from other geographically set stations within their building. So if you look at one of our broadcast partners, they may have 20 or 30 different stations throughout the country. They now have the ability to control a station from anywhere else within their company network. So we increase the efficiency of those stations by being able to say that a director, perhaps in Denver, has the ability to do the 5 o'clock news in New York, the 5 o'clock news in Chicago, the 5 o'clock news there at their hometown in Denver, and maybe do a 5 o'clock news on the West Coast in LA. So now that same operator has more usage of what they're doing within their day, which increases their efficiency. They're doing more shows per day, and since the entire corporation uses similar graphics and similar technology, they're very comfortable doing it. The only thing that they are doing differently from themselves is instead of being in the station, they're actually now remotely controlling the equipment that may be thousands of miles away. We expanded that capability even more when this year by allowing those directors to actually work from home. So now those directors are able to control any of their stations within their company from their own home environment, which not only allows them to be very flexible and efficient, but they are not putting themselves or anyone in the production crew at any risk of any potential problems. So that was something that we added that kind of met the needs at the time very quickly. We ramped that up.
Oh, it's just so great to hear that you're matching your technology with the needs. I mean, I know you guys know you've been sitting on all of this, but what's been the biggest surprise that you've heard back from customers with the ELC solution? Like, what have you been like, huh? That's fabulous.
Yeah, what really has been interesting for me is everyone tags me on the Facebook now when they do these live shows, and I think it's been interesting to say, people are doing these shows, and whether it be from their house or if they're helping out a sister station in a completely different market, that what they've said is that it has actually increased the capability of what they can do by working from home, which has I think been the biggest surprise for me. Everybody kind of said, well, when we get home, are we going to be distracted? Will we be able to do it? But people have been able to actually help out. And what they've also been doing is they've had many directors being able to log on to a station all from home and being able to collaborate on a specific newscast. So what they've done now is they're dialing into their intercom and having conferences using a lot of the common teleconference bridges like Teams and Zoom and et cetera to work with producers to actually give them more time to collaborate on these shows. And they have a lot of people working on the individual shows. So that's something it has actually done, is given them, I think it surprised everybody because people are even more creative now than they were even when they were working next to each other.
Because we get to wear our pajamas on the bottom, right?
There's that too.
Well, I know this also has a big impact on breaking news, right? It's impacting
Right.
how well that's executed. Can you share a little bit about that? Because that's exciting to me.
Yeah, and that's actually something that that also increased with our ELC remote is the capability to have breaking news be part of what a station is doing, So if when I used to work at television stations, there were essentially two shifts. There was the morning crew and the evening crew, and there was always that couple-hour gap. But again, by being able to allow people to work from home and being able to also be able to cross the divide geographically, now there really is no gap. Whether it be a specific station group that has somebody that's on call overnight, you can have somebody who's on call overnight at one particular station, and they can control any or every station simultaneously within your broadcast group. So really, you've completely closed the gap now of when you can have a high level of production with everything that you would expect out of a full production crew: audio, lighting, teleprompter, everything that ELC has the flexibility and the ability to control in the studio can now be completely controlled outside. So I think that that's kind of been the biggest surprise, is that people are saying, well, when will we go back? You know, there's not a tremendous rush, because we're able to do everything we've done before and then some, by being able to lend a hand to sister stations within groups.
Right, and you're changing the final product, which is what's just a mind blow. And it'll be so
Complete
interesting to
control of the
talk to you
station.
guys. Yeah, it'll be so interesting to talk to you guys, in the next 6 months, and see, when we are allowed to be around each other, what parts of this are permanently impacted. Now, Joe, I want to talk to you a little bit. First, explain Crispin Corporation, because you're a part of Sony. So just set the stage for that, so we could talk to you about what you're up to.
Sure thing. So you can think of us as part of the broadcast master control automation division, right? Whereas much of what you've been hearing so far has been about live production and that sort of area, but we're really focused on your master control side. Right? So that's the big piece of it. So all of the various workflows that are needed in a master control environment, ranging from ingest to the master control playback, the on-air execution, is done via our software or orchestrated through it.
So are you seeing similar requests from what Jason talked about with master control automation?
Definitely, especially on the onset, we had quite a few customers coming to us asking how they can set up these things remotely. And it, of course, needs have varied greatly through our customer group, but um, a significant number of them needed to have some form of a solution to be able to operate it remotely, as compared to where they were before. And again, I noted it's a little bit different sometimes for us, just by the fact that in master control, oftentimes it is a little bit more isolated. And having been in years ago myself working in master control too, it's often one of the areas that they're the first people in the building and the last ones out. Along
Yeah.
with some engineers as well, of course, too. So again, naturally, it's a critical piece to it by all means, but there are quite a few of our customers that did need something for this, especially when you're in sort of a hub environment where it's not just a single operator that might be there, but several of them, that are in closer quarters working in more than one particular channel.
Well, you guys are iterating so quickly to meet needs. Has there been new changes or new functionality that you've developed to help fill those needs?
Right. So surprisingly, in a lot of ways, we didn't have to do anywhere near as much. And I'll explain that to you a little bit. I had mentioned the hub and spoke scenario, which is one that's actually used by several large TV stations that utilize our software. And in reality, the way that those work is that at a local spoke, the majority of their actual equipment that we're automating, as well as all the video streams themselves, they execute out of there. And then at a hub or another location, they have the actual on-air playlist that's being executed. So, in that sense, we've actually been utilizing a remote sort of functionality just over, their closed network for quite a long time. Honestly, for over a decade when it comes to that. Now, that same underlying technology has made it much easier for us to be able to offer solutions to customers in this particular time. Because in the end, all of these operators working from home or wherever they may need to be moved to, we're just operating in that same sort of remote fashion, really its own kind of mini hub, if you will.
Mm.
So,
It's
yep,
it's
that
a
made it
mind
much
blow.
simpler, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And
it's
there,
let
yeah,
me
there
ask.
definitely is more
Yeah,
to it,
go ahead.
but yeah.
Well, I was curious also, just, are you also helping with the prepping content for air too? Getting it ready for
Right.
taking it in and spitting it back out?
Absolutely. You're hitting on the other key piece that we fall into, right? When it comes to master control, being able to execute a playlist doesn't mean much if you don't have that content in there, right, to be able to ingest and prep. And I had mentioned our, asset management, I'm sorry, our playlist side of things previously. Hopefully you guys don't hear the big leaf blower that just went in my back window. Apologies on that part. one of the advantages of
We
remote
all have stuff
remote
going
here
on.
sometimes, right?
Yeah, we
Right.
all have stuff going on.
Yep. So along with that, though, this is where our loading dock comes into play. And Crispin's loading dock is our full solution for all of your ingest needs, from master controls, catch servers that we're commonly utilizing to get content from large long form syndicators, as well as all of these short form, commercial and ad providers out there, as well as any sort of local content that is coming in. It allows the system to automatically ingest that content, and also, as part of its workflow, creates a low resolution video proxy. And that low resolution video proxy is used by operators to be able to both QC their content as well as to prep it for air. And once they approve it after looking at that process, then it's sent off to the actual video server that'd be used for playback. So, and similar to what I was describing before, this is something they've been doing just like they were when they actually were on premise in the actual TV station. So in reality, the same sort of tools they've been able to use while they were in their building really lend themselves well to having them, be able to do it remotely as well too. So it's been a nice, simple transition when it comes to that for them.
You guys have really thought of everything to really help provide the industry with a great approach to our remote future. And it's not even our future anymore. You're continuously iterating on fantastic new workflows and providing all sorts of solutions to the entire industry. Joe, Jason, Dion, John, thank you so much for sharing with the audience all the wonderful things that you guys have implemented to really step up the game and really meet customers' needs. I think it's so exciting. And again, your global relief fund is so generous. So I want to thank you from all of us for doing that, and also for being so open and smart about providing solutions for your clients. And we're all going to be sticking around for Q&A. So please, when you're done listening, stick around. We're going to have questions and answers from this great team, and we'll be able to get back to you with any questions you have about all these wonderful solutions. You guys blow me away. Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
having us.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back. We're here for some live Q&A with the team, and we have our fabulous Sony team here. I have a question that has already been typed in. This is from Jeff Chavez, and he wants to know, how has all of this remote production shaped the way Sony is thinking about future products? For any of you.
Well, I'll start. Obviously, everything that we build eventually is for our customers, and we depend on voice of customer, and it factors largely into anything that we eventually bring to market. So whatever they see trending within their business and whatever they need to run their business successfully, we're going to align with. So it's going to have a great impact on what we do going forward.
Great. Anybody else want to jump in there? All right, well, I have another question for you guys. This is for Dion. How is the IP technology helping content creators build virtualized environments? It's a rare moment in time now where IP is the new thing, right? Or the old new
Sure.
thing. How are you helping creators?
Well, so if you look at the virtualization, it really is kind of the evolution, if you will, of what we talked about just now, remote production and distributed production. The idea is that when you're in a broadcast environment, your technical director or your graphics operator, your replay operator, they don't care where the processing for their solution exists. They just need to know that they have access to the resources. So when we think about a virtualized future, we think about ubiquitous access to these resources, whether it be in the building or it be across an enterprise. The idea that a graphics operator can pull up channels on a server for a show that they're producing in New York, but that server happens to be in Boise, Idaho. Or the technical director is accessing MEs or inputs and outputs on their switcher, and they're doing a show in Miami, but that processor is in Atlanta. So the idea is that you've now virtualized these resources by making them shared across your entire enterprise. So anytime an operator needs these solutions, they can get to it. There is the concept of virtualization as well, where the concept is that the products or the solutions now exist in a software form, or they exist even on a cloud deployment. That is something that our engineering team is absolutely looking at as well. We do see that as a future for the broadcast and the media and entertainment industries. But that what you can implement today is based on IP, is locating that product anywhere or that solution anywhere within your enterprise environment, giving access to your employees or to your operators from anywhere across the network.
That's great. So you're breaking down any geographical barriers by getting that solution in there, and then you're moving towards cloud, which I'm sure is a quest. But for security purposes, it's good to have local solutions as well. We know right now. That's great. Well, what do you do then if you have an existing ELC system? Is it easy to configure ELC remote? You know, because again, people are all over. We're all working really fast and iterating. Maybe Dion or Jason, you can answer this. But how hard is it to integrate that ELC remote?
Sure, I can take that one for you. And ELC Remote is already now baked into everything we have with our ELC environment. So configuring it, whether it be additional hardware or software for remote, is actually very easy to do. We've already kind of put that model into place that this is going to be something that we will support, in forever now. Really, it's just part of the product is baked in, and it has a lot of ways in which it's going to help the end customer. It's not just about getting through 2020, so to speak. It's also going to provide us for a continued development towards hub and spoke operations, towards the ability to allow stations and groups to be able to support each other, for any operations, including, breaking news and overnight coverage, where any station can help each other. So really, putting in the ability for remote operation really is more than just of what we're in right now with not being able to necessarily be in the building. We have found that the creativity has not suffered at all. The efficiency it's given our customers is expanded tremendously. So it's part of the ecosystem of what everything we're doing to help our customers it now is.
That's great. Let me ask also, and I think this is for you, Joe. You were talking that if someone wants to access the system remotely, there doesn't need to be any changes to the software. But does this also apply to the cloud and or on VMs? Is it a big deal, a big rock to push uphill?
Right. No, great question. So it's absolutely a fair point. So as I had mentioned earlier, obviously the underlying technology is all there to allow somebody to easily establish that connection and get their entire playlist as they need remotely. However, definitely when you're now dealing with obviously a remote system, whether it be on VMs or cloud or anything like that, someone had just hit on it a minute ago as well too. Security becomes one of the big factors. So our traditional legacy, as we tend to call it, Rapid Play X client that is used by a large majority of our customers and has been for honestly a good 20 years at this point, doesn't have anything unique when it comes to that security piece. Now, our next generation, our Web Rapid Play X, which is part of our Crispin core, that's where that gets changed. That is now really tailored towards cloud and VM type systems, and one of the main benefits that it has, and I shouldn't even say main because there are honestly so many, but one of the big pieces that it will add when it comes to this question is secure logins. So first of all, the fact that it requires someone to log in means you obviously have to have credentials now to get access to your actual channels. And it also allows a individual station to be able to grant only the access they want to specific users, right? So you don't have somebody that is a basic operator, getting into all of your deep configs or anything like that naturally, which is very important. So yep, hopefully that answers that part for you.
No, it seems like you guys have really thought of everything from establishing localized solutions and being ready for remote, and then also being very adaptive and not making this, hard for people with any upgrades that, stymie the process. If anyone's going to jump into this remote future right away, what's the best way for them to learn about it? Is there, do you guys have information on the site where they can reach you? What's a good contact point for everybody?
So I can take that one. We actually have a dedicated resource on our website. If you go to pro.sony and you search for remote production, we actually have a dedicated page covering remote production solutions. A lot of it is heavily based on our IP solutions. Of course, we have some cloud solutions there as well. So your best bet is to definitely reach out to a Sony representative. Feel free to contact us, look for us on social media. You'll definitely find someone within the Sony Media Solutions group who can connect you with the right personnel to help walk you through the process of building out your new environment for IP, for cloud, for master control, for automation, what have you.
That's great.
The
And
only
I
thing I'd
just
like to
love
add,
that you guys, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the only
Did
thing I
you
want
want
to
to,
add
John?
is our
Okay.
approach to the end user is very much a consultative approach. These are not simple solutions, and they're unique to each end user. So we'd like to get in early, understand what their concerns are, and then create the solution around those concerns.
Great. You wanted to add
And
something to
if
that?
I have yes, I appreciate it. Just really quick, I wanted to note as well too, since Crispin, we have a different website. So for anybody that wanted information about our Crispin solutions, make sure you stop by our crispincorp.com. And also you could send a simple email to welisten@crispincorp.com, or even another easy one to remember is just sales@crispincorp.com. So you've got a few options there, but exactly similar to what John had said as well too. These are all unique custom solutions, so it's definitely something we'd want to have a conversation with you to be able to make sure you have the best solution for you that fits your needs. Thanks.
I love that you guys really have thought of everything, especially I know a lot of people are trying to wrap their head around IP versus cloud, and can I adapt these solutions to my current setup, and what do I do? So it really sounds like you're setting yourselves up to be true partners to all the creators out there that are trying to roll out remote production. So we have to wrap up now, but I wanted everyone to know that we're going to keep the chat open, so you can still put questions in here, and the Sony team will get back to you. And I want to thank everyone here for jumping in, doing a great panel, and then being available for live Q&A. So thank you, John, Dion, Jason, and Joe. You guys are so smart. And so laid back about how smart you are. So thank you so much, Sony, and join us for more tech chats. And again, chat will be open for a while. So please put in your questions and the team will get back to you. Thank you so much, everybody.